Okay, here I'm doing right-handed. Here are the three most basic moves for a beginner arm wrestler. So I'm gonna name the three and then I'm gonna go over them and then how you can train for it. And I'm gonna use this resistant band to replicate how you're gonna train for it. So number one is gonna be your top roll. Number two is gonna be your hook. And number three is gonna be your post. So number one, top roll. You have your elbow slightly forward to the pad, like in the front of the pad. It's not all the way back here. Excuse me, it's up here. And your knuckles are high. They're not low down, they're high up. So when your opponent is gripping you, instead of your knuckles being low, you want them to be high up. You want your knuckles to be high up. And you're high. You're high up and your elbow isn't touching the table. It's up in the air, because if it's down here, you can't lean down. All you're gonna do is just move your arm like this. And whenever you move your arm forward like this, it's putting spiral rotation on your humerus bone. And it only takes 15 pounds of pressure right there to break it in half, your humerus bone, your entire bone. It'll just break in half if you put 15 pounds of pressure like that. So instead of moving forward, we're like this, the elbow forward, gripping high. Elbows up, and we're literally just gonna lean to the side. We're just gonna lean to the side. Basically, I want my hand to touch right here. I want this distance to be closed. The weakest part of your arm in arm wrestling is gonna be at the top where your hand is. So you want your opponent to be gripping lower. You want them to be gripping lower. That's why you grip high. If you grip high, they're gonna grip low. They have to grip lower. So you can access more strength. Whenever you're top rolling, you're not moving your arm like all over the place. All you're doing is just putting it in that position with your knuckles high, and you're just right in front of it with the distance closed, and all you're doing is just moving your body like this. You're holding it in place. You're just holding it in place. And then you're just moving it in this way. You're rotating this shoulder backwards and this one forward instead of this one forward and this one backwards, which most people do that, which is horrible, unless you know how to arm wrestle, which most people don't. So you gotta rotate backwards. You're doing this as your body. You're doing this, and this is with your right hand. If you have your right hand, you're arm wrestling with your right hand, turn your body to the right. If you're arm wrestling with your left hand, turn your body to the left. But whenever you turn your body to the right when you're using your right hand, you're pulling. You're pulling with your bicep. It's not a push motion. It's a pulling motion. Pulling motion. Elbow forward, knuckles high, holding. Pulling. Pulling with my bicep. And leaning down. And my head is gonna follow my hand. It's gonna follow my hand. Because if I go like this, the way I'll be able to follow that is by going in with my shoulder this way, which is a whole press, which is too advanced, like that. So your head is gonna go down with it with your elbow up, and your head is literally following it, and you're kind of squatting down. But when you're holding somebody, you don't have to squat. You can just, and see, and the whole table is gonna rock. That was the first one, that was a top roll. Elbow forward, knuckles high, holding in place, rolling out. Your body's moving this way, not this way. Your elbows up, so you can lean down with your entire body. That's a top roll. Now, the second one is a hook. A hook is a bone-to-bone connection. And the way to do that is by twisting your wrist inwards. Your palm is gonna be facing you. And mind you, the distance is still closed. You want to be closer to your arm in this position than you want to be in a top roll. So, palm toward you. Your wrist is literally like to this pad, and your palm is toward you. And when you do that, your opponent's going to be holding you like this. When you twist in, you're going to make that touch their bone. This area is going to touch their bone when you're in here. So you're going bone, and you're gonna roll out like it's a top roll, but you're in here, and you're gonna roll out like it's a top roll. The same way, you're just going in, bone to bone. You're holding, and you're bending your wrist, and you're rolling out like a top roll, but it's not a top roll. And then the third is a post. Your elbow is as far forward as possible. Your knuckles are as high as possible. You're as close to your arm as possible. And you just lean back a little bit and you hold right there. That's a post. And then from there, you can do a top roll, or you can, get into a bone to bone if you want. But that's what the post is for. Before they start the match, they're like, ready, set. Whenever they're going ready, set, you want to be in a post. You're ready, just be in a post. If you're going to top roll. If you want to go bone to bone, you want to be grabbing them a little bit lower. You want to lean forward a little bit, so you can go like that. And then you can catch them with your bicep. 3 most basic. The top roll, the hook, the post. Simple, simple, simple. Now, we have this resistant band, and this is how we are going to train. So, I'm gonna post. I'm gonna hold right here. You're just gonna put a resistance band right like this. And it can be a rope, a towel, a backpack, a martial art belt, a normal belt, like a strap or something like that. Just put some weights on the end of it, or if you have a resistance band. And you're holding it like this. And instead of being right here, your opponent is trying to pull you that way. So that's what I meant by turning this shoulder that way and this one this way. Because if you go like that, it's easier to hold right here, and it's not putting so much pressure on your humerus bone. So you're rolling out. You're rolling out, and you're pulling like that. You're rolling out. You'll feel it. You'll feel the difference between being in here and trying to do it, and then being right here and trying to do it. Now here is the hook. Here's the hook. This resistance band is putting pressure this way on my pronator, and then this way on my supinator like that. So it's pulling on both ends, it's pulling on both ends. Now, what I'm doing is, whenever I'm trying to go bone to bone in a hook, I'm twisting like that. So it's putting pressure on this resistant band to move it that way. And I'm going in on it. And then when I roll out, it's gonna put pressure on this one when I roll out. But when you get in here, someone can't do the same thing you're doing. They can't get in the position you're in. When you're in here, you're stopping them from getting in, and you're stopping them from top rolling. In the hook, you just roll out with it. And here's a post. I'm going to have to take pads off in order to do it directly. I'm gonna have to move the tape like this. Right like this. And your elbows forward. Your arm, you want it to be like straight as possible. And your knuckles are high. And the rubber band is on your knuckle. It's on your knuckle right like this. It's on your knuckle. It's putting pressure on that rising ability. So you can get your knuckles up there. And then just hold in that position and just lean backwards. You can top roll with that if you want, but just hold it and then just lean backwards. Just lean backwards. Lean backwards. Top roll, hook.